What are the pros and cons of Grand Prairie? You might have seen videos in the past sugarcoating everything about Grand Prairie, but you might not have seen the other side of the equation. Are there any downsides? Well, if you hang in there with me to the end of this video, you're going to get a crystal clear understanding of Grand Prairie, Texas, both from the good and from the bad, because we'll be exploring the home values, the commute, the cost of living, crime rates, and so much more. So here are the pros and cons of Grand Prairie. All right, so let's start with the biggest expense in the room, and that's the average home value. The average home value in Grand Prairie is actually a pro. At the time of this recording, the average home value is $336,000, which if you compare that amount with the DFW average of $445,000, you can already see that it's well worth the investment. And even if you compare that $336,000 against the national average of $357,000, you're still ahead. All right, well, that's fair. We're off to a good start. What about the commute? Unfortunately, this category is on the con side. The average commute time in Grand Prairie is 28.6 minutes, which if you compare it to both the DFW average of 28.1 minutes and the national average of 26.4 minutes, it's deficient. So if you're gonna move to Grand Prairie, make sure that you're in a vehicle that you absolutely love, because you're gonna spend a lot of time in it. All right, so now on to the cost of living category. I'm gonna put this one on the pro side. The reason being is because on average, the cost of living overall for Grand Prairie is 1.4% higher than the national average. Now, the reason that I went on the pro side for the cost of living in Grand Prairie, even though it's higher than the national average, is because when you compare the cost of living in Grand Prairie to the rest of the DFW Metroplex, it's actually lower, because the cost of living across the DFW Metroplex is actually higher by 3.8% compared to the national average. So when you compare that 3.8% across the Metroplex to the 1.4% in Grand Prairie, it's not that bad. Now allow me to take this brief opportunity and welcome you to the DFW Homeowner YouTube channel, the go-to real estate channel for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. My name is Jaime Resendez, your local realtor and team leader, able to help you make money in real estate, whether you're buying or selling. And we're on a mission to reach every DFW resident. So if you can hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, it's gonna really help us out. All right, so now let's talk about a very touchy subject, and that's the crime situation. What does that look like in Grand Prairie? On this particular category, it's kind of on the gray area, but I'm gonna end up putting it on the pro side, and you'll see why. Crime is ranked on a scale of 1 to 100, so 1 being low crime and 100 being high crime. Grand Prairie, from a violent crime perspective, has a 19.3. When you compare it to the US average of 22.7, it's actually lower. So that's why I went with the pro side. But if you look at it from the property crime perspective of 36.6, that's actually higher than the US average of 35.4. So yes, I technically did cut Grand Prairie a break on this one, because in this channel, when things like this happen in the crime department, I err towards the better ranking when it comes to the violent crime category. But let's continue. Let's talk about the unemployment rate. And on this category, we're gonna put it on the con side, because the unemployment rate in Grand Prairie is 7.4%, given that it's significantly higher than both the DFW unemployment rate of 6.5% and the US average of 6%. Now, something that you might value quite a bit whenever you're looking at a city is the park situation. What does the recreation look like? Well, for Grand Prairie, I'm gonna put this on the con side as well, because only 51% of Grand Prairie residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park, which, as you can see, is lower than the national average. And even when you compare it to the DFW Metroplex, it still falls short, given that the average for the DFW Metroplex is 61%. All right, so now let's talk about the school situation, because that really matters. And since there's a lot of rankings out there and a lot of different metrics that we could look into, I decided on these three. We rank all of our schools in our pros and cons videos based off of the ACT scores, SAT scores, and the graduation rate. And on this category for Grand Prairie, I'm gonna have to go back over to the con side, because both on the ACT and the SAT scores, they fell just short of the national average. Now, on the bright side is that Grand Prairie outperformed when it came to the graduation rate. So again, I recognize that that is incredibly subjective, so my apologies. I'm gonna link a full report on the ISD down below so you can check it out. But now on to the current and former resident perspective. Let's look at our reviews. When it comes to the reviews for Grand Prairie, I'm going to put this on the pro side, because when you average 683 reviews from current and former Grand Prairie residents, they gave it 4 stars out of 5. So there you have it. These are the pros and these are the cons of Grand Prairie, Texas. And if you're interested in our preferred homes list for the city of Grand Prairie, check out the link down below.